How you doing, everybody? My name is Nestor Mendoza with The Mechanic OC. Welcome back to the YouTube channel. Today we're working on an 07 Toyota Camry with a 2.4 V8. I'm going to show you guys exactly what I do to inspect the vehicle and how I upsell to the customer and how I structure my entire sales speech so that when I do talk to the customer, I know exactly what I'm going to say and I get the results I want, which is for them to repair their vehicle and for me to get to work. So let's go ahead and get started. Before we get started, make sure you guys follow me on all my social medias, link in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. Like always, sign up for my newsletter and let's get going. Before anything, you want to get the customer's complaint. You want to be sure that you know exactly what is wrong with the car and why the customer is bringing it in, because you always want to address that problem first. It's always bad when you get a car in and you start selling the customer a whole bunch of upsells but don't even address the first problem that they had. So you always want to concentrate on that first, and then after that, everything else comes second. Normally, what I like to do is start inspecting the car when the car is on the ground. So first things first is I always pop the hood, and then I go ahead and start checking everything out. I start checking the belts, motor mounts. These Camrys always have issues with these motor mounts. Dog mounts are right here. And I always check the air filter. I check the battery, of course. And then I check all the fluids, make sure that everything is topped off. Coolant, power steering, oil, obviously. You always want to make sure that the car has oil. And just brake fluid, and then anything else that you see on top. I want to make sure the valve cover is nice and clean. There's no other issues. The hoses, upper and lower, are nice and good. You don't want to see any problems. But basically, you always want to inspect the car when it's on the ground. Then you want to raise the car up to waist level, and you want to start checking out the brakes, you want to start checking out the tires, and you want to start checking out suspension. So let's go ahead and raise the car up. Now that the car is waist high, now you want to start checking out the brakes. I already showed you guys how to inspect the brakes and what tools to use. I'll put a link in the description below to the video that shows you how to do that. But basically, all you want to do is you want to check the brake pads, make sure that they are nice and beefy. If they're not, you want to check the owner's manual and see what the limit is. And once you actually measure out the brake pads, you can start measuring out the rotors and make sure that those are good, and then make your recommendations on that end. But at this point, we can also check the suspension system. Camrys always have problems with their struts, so you always want to check those. And you always want to check motor mounts, and you want to check anything else that's at this level, which would be the control arms, and you want to start checking suspension system, make sure the inner and outer tie rod ends are good, sway bars, all that good stuff, and obviously the tires. So I'm going to go ahead and start checking everything out, and I'll let you guys know what I find and then what I'm going to sell to the customer. The next step after this, after we check everything with the tire, suspension, and everything at waist high, now we want to go ahead and raise the car up all the way so that we get underneath it and start checking out the underside of the car, make sure there's no issues with leaking oil pans or anything else underneath. Now that we got the car up in the air, we want to start checking everything out. First things first is you want to check underneath the engine and make sure there's no leaks. This one actually does have an oil pan leak, so we're going to go ahead and recommend that. The car does need an oil change as well, so it's a perfect time to do it. I'll show you guys how to incorporate all the strategies that you find, or how to incorporate strategies to sell these type of jobs when you already have other maintenance going on. So I'll show you guys how to do that in a second. Oil pan looks like it's leaking. I'm gonna go ahead and start checking this thing out. I'll let you guys know what I find. So the way we're gonna sell this job is in 3 stages. The first one is we're gonna tell the customer their estimate for what they came in for, which was their brakes. The second one we're gonna give them is gonna be their maintenance items that they need. And the last one is gonna be things that they should get done at this time period, because it's kind of all combined, but it's not necessary. It's not something that's going to cause them to break down. So I pretty much give my customers a list of things they need in order of importance. A is always going to be the stuff they came in for, and things that are going to cause them to break down right now. For example, a belt or a hose that's leaking or about to blow, tires are about to explode, that type of thing. Safety concerns. The second one that I like to do is give them a list of things that they should get done because they're obviously bad, but they're not going to actually cause a car to break down, like an oil leak, like a bad suspension component that has play, or something that's leaking or something that needs to be done. And the third list that I give them is going to be things that come up in the future, like maintenance items or things that are possible to happen to the car because of my experience. Like I know that these things need struts. They always need struts. They always blow out. They always leak. They motor mounts always go out. So and then maintenance, right? Future maintenance, depending on the mileage the car has. So that's like the C list. List that I give my customers after I told them everything that the car needs right away, and then things that we need to start budgeting for in the future. And the reason why I do this is for many reasons, but one of the main reasons is because it tells the customer that you have their best interest in mind, because they know that the cars are falling apart, but they know that some things that don't need to be done right away. So when you tell them how, you list these things out properly, they feel more comfortable. They give you more trust. They build that trust up, and you have a better way to sell the job, and you have a better chance to get the job. There's a lot of strategy that goes behind how you want to structure out how you sell the job, how you tell the customer. Everything needs to have a strategy, because if you don't, you're going to just sound like one of those guys that just told the customer, oh yeah, it's $5,000 for all these repairs. Customer freaks out, and then they go ask a bunch of other mechanics, they get a whole bunch of other quotes, and then you look bad because the other mechanics are like, oh yeah, you don't really need those right now, but you do need the belt. And then you look bad because the customers are like, well, why the hell is he recommending it? But if you actually follow the steps that I've laid out for you guys and told you, and you do the basics, which is explain shit to the customer properly, and you let the customer know why they need the items, and you list things off properly, then you're good to go, right? So everything has a strategy. You always want to have the customer's best interest in mind, because at the end of the day, they do need these things. But obviously the budget isn't there sometimes, and people don't want to be paying $5,000 for their car because come on. It's not a luxury item. It's a thing that they have to do. It's like going to a dentist. People don't like coming to visit us because they know something's wrong with their car and they're gonna have to pay money and they're not gonna enjoy it. So you gotta make sure that you hit them with a soft blow, not with something super hard like $5,000. You wanna lay everything out properly. You wanna have everything separate. You wanna have the first list completely in one estimate, then the B list in another estimate, then the C list in another estimate, and then have one full estimate together so that they kind of know, well, if they got everything done, it's this price. And there's a whole bunch of other strategies that I go over in my newsletter. If you guys sign up for that at nestormendoza.com, you'll get a lot more information on how to get this stuff done properly and how to have the best rate of sales when you tell your customer. Every time my customer comes in here, they get something done because I know how to explain things properly, and they trust me. Because I take the time to explain things properly, I list things out properly, and I let them know what's going to happen if they don't get things done, and then if they do get things done. So this is all a strategy that I talk about in my newsletter, nestormendoza.com. Go sign up for that if you guys want more of this. But let's go ahead and finish up the estimates, and then call the customer, let them know what's wrong, and then let them decide whether or not they want to get the job done. That's why I'm recommending the rotors. And
You need to do with an oil change.
okay, perfect. So I recommended that as well. So I put on the things that the car needs right away are going to be the brakes and then the oil change, and then I did check out the rest of the car like you asked me to, and everything else looks good on the car. For the most part, the car's in really good shape. There's really nothing wrong with it. Mechanically, everything looks like it's in really good shape. The only problem that I did find that I kind of want to take care of, just because it bunches everything up, is the oil pan is leaking on the lower part of the engine. It's leaking quite a bit of oil there.
It runs out of oil really, really quick.
And that,
even since my last oil change, I put like 3 quarts and then it's out of oil again.
Then that's probably one of the reasons why, is because it is leaking. And that's why I'm recommending it now, just because it's a good idea to get it done when you do an oil change, because I don't charge you any more labor to do the oil change. I just charge you for the oil, because I'm already removing the pan, because to remove the oil pan and replace that gasket that's broken, causing all the oil to leak out, I have to drain out the oil. So it's a good idea to get it done now, just because you save a little bit of money.
It's just the bottom gasket of the oil pan, right? Just like that little hole?
Correct. Well, it's the actual... Okay. So there's the engine, and then there's the oil pan that holds all the oil there, and the oil pan has a drain plug where you let it out and then all the oil comes out. Yeah. In between that oil pan and that engine, there's a gasket in between there, and that's what's actually leaking.
Got it.
So
how much would it be for the oil pan and brake rotors and oil change total?
Okay, so I did get you a quote for that. Like I said, the rest of the car looks like it looks like it's in really good shape. And I haven't really made up another quote for the maintenance. You don't really need any maintenance besides the oil change today. And then I'm also recommending the air filter. But besides those two items, the maintenance looks like it's kept up. So basically, we're only going to recommend the things that I just mentioned. So the total comes out to
The oil, the brakes, the rotors, and the oil pan, right?
correct, yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, I'll go ahead and get it done. I should be able to finish it today. I'm cutting a little close just because the oil pan it does take a little while just because I have to clean everything up. So I'll definitely get it done today. But it might be right around 3 o'clock or so. So I'll keep you posted and then we can switch out with the Jeep and then we can go from there.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good, man. Thank you so much for the update.
Of course, my pleasure, and then I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right, bye.
Okay, bye-bye. Okay, there you go. Very basic stuff, guys. I mean, obviously it's basic for me because I've done this for years, but you have to just know the principles of how to sell and how to talk to a customer and how to put yourself in their shoes. At the end of the day, I always like to talk to my customers the way I like to be talked to and the way I like shit to be explained to me because I don't understand certain things. Like if I'm working with a guy that's doing my computer stuff and he's telling me all these technical terms that I have no idea what they mean, I'm gonna feel dumb. I'm gonna feel like the guy's trying to swindle me. I don't know. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good not to understand. So even if you tell your customers how things work, if you try to explain to them why you're doing what you're doing, that makes everybody feel more comfortable and you feel better. You feel that you're actually trying to help somebody. I don't know. It just feels good. So I always try to educate my customers as much as you can because if people are gonna tell me, oh well, that's I don't know. People are just dumb, so they're gonna just be like telling me the negatives of what I'm doing, but there's nothing but positives. Because at the end of the day, guys, it's the information age. Anybody can pick up their phone and confirm or debunk everything you just told them because they have the freaking internet. Okay, they can go on Google right now and then look up how much. If they ask you what's a millimeter size on my brake pad, then you know that they went on Google and freaking Googled stuff, and then you'll tell them, oh yeah, it's like 7 millimeter right now, and then they're like, oh, it tells me right here on Google that the minimum for brake pads should be around 4 millimeters. Why are you telling me that they need them now? So people aren't dumb. People will look stuff up and they will confirm or debunk what you're telling them right away. So don't lie to customers. Tell them what's wrong with their car because at the end of the day, I feel good and I have peace of mind because everything I tell my customer that the car needs, it needs. So if they grab their car, if they're like, oh, I don't want anything done to the car, and they come and pick up their car, they take it to the shop will confirm everything I said because the car needs what it needs. I'm not lying that it needs an oil pan gasket. It's leaking. I'm not lying that it's a good idea to get it all done now because I don't charge them as much because I'm putting it all together. Right? Like that's not a lie. Like I'm telling that it needs brakes because it needs brakes. If they go to another shop, they'll check the brakes out and be like, yeah, you need rear brakes and rotors. So I have peace of mind because I know that everything I recommend is good for the customer and for their car. And then as far as pricing and everything like that comes down to you and what area you're in. And we're gonna be making a video on how to price out your jobs. But for now, just know that you want to be fair with your pricing. You want to be honest with your pricing. You want to be honest with everything you say. And you should be good to go and you'll have a good business. At the end of the day, guys, we're in business to help people and solve their problems. We're in business to solve their problems and help them, right? That's all we do. So if you keep that in mind, if you're there, you're like, okay, well, I'm solving a customer's problem and they should pay me for it. And I'm helping them because they don't want to learn how to freaking work on their car and they don't have the time to do it. So I'm helping them and I'm helping them with giving them good fair pricing. Then you're good to go. You'll have a good business. It's very basic, gentlemen. It's not hard. It's not rocket science. Keep the basics up. Do things that you need to do and you'll be good. And keep the customer's best interest in mind and make sure that you're fair and the customer will take care of you. You take care of the customer. It's a good circle, good cycle. Thanks. Let's go ahead and actually we're not done yet. We're not done with the video, but let's go ahead and start getting this job done and I'll talk to you guys soon. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started on doing the oil pan and the brakes and everything else it needs. So I'll show you guys how to do that and be more efficient in another video, part 2. This is part 1 on how to actually upsell and how to get the customer to agree to do the work and how to structure your conversation so that you have the best rate of return on your sales, which is a good thing because you want to keep the customer happy, you want to make sure that they're getting a fair price, but you also want to do the work. So it's a good combination of everything, and it's up to you, okay? It's up to you to keep the customer at ease, work with their budget and make sure that you're helping them as much as you can. So the second video that I'm going to be making is how to do the brakes, how to be efficient when you're doing oil pan gasket and like multiple jobs on a car, and how to do this quickly. So I'll be making that video, and it should be linked in the description below in a later date, probably tomorrow or the next day. So just keep that in mind. Make sure you guys follow me on all my social medias, link in the description below. All the tools I use are going to be linked in the description below. Follow me there. Follow me on my email list, which I give you guys way more detail than I can in this video. Because at the end of the day, guys, there's so much to it. There's so much to sales. There's so much to it. But if you keep the basics up, then you'll be able to start figuring things out. And I'll be able to help you out if you go to my email list. And I'll give you guys daily tips on how to do this thing properly. So let's go ahead and get started on the job. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we got the oil pan off. We got the oil pan off. So now I'm gonna go ahead and start cleaning this bad boy off, and scraping everything off, scraping everything off the